my favorite quotes in the book comes from a British psychoanalyst named Wilfred Bion. And I think he was talking about presence. He didn't use that word. But the purest form of presence is when you listen without memory or desire. Because when you're listening with memory, you have an old agenda that you're trying to plug the person into. And when you listen with desire, you have a new personal agenda or a future personal agenda that you're trying to plug them into. But in neither case are you listening to where they're coming from. So in Just Listen, I talk about countering that by trying to be a PAL, and PAL stands for purposeful, agendaless listening. Purposeful, agendaless listening. And your purpose is to get in there with them with the belief that if you can do that, they'll let their guard down and let you in. And you got to practice this. I remember I was seeing this. He was I think a paranoid schizophrenic dentist, and some people say, aren't they all? But he came in, and he was kind of feisty, and he said, I'm looking for a new psychiatrist. I've seen 6 in the last couple of years. And I said, that sounds like you've been busy. And he said, well, I'm checking to see if I can find the right one. And he said, before we proceed, I need to tell you something. The people above me make noise on the pipes all through the night. They drive me crazy and out of my mind. It's hard to sleep. And what you need to know is I'm on the top floor of my building and there is no access to anything above me. And so here's how I was listening. I was thinking, he's seen 6 psychiatrists. They probably asked him or said to him, well, I understand that that's very real for you. But he was seeing me now. And so I said to myself, and I'm looking at him, I said to myself, do I want to give him a reality check and give him the party line, or do I want to help him? And so I made the decision, I want to help him, which means being present with him. I said, Joe, I believe you. And he went like this, and he just started to cry like a feral cat. He just was just sobbing and sobbing, and he just like leaned over in his chair. And I thought, what have I unleashed? But I let it go, and he's crying, and then he stops crying, and he sits up, and his eyes are totally bloodshot, and he has a huge, huge smile on his face. And I said, Joe, what's that about? He says, it does sound crazy. So in other words, by not judging him or controlling him, but being there with him, he was able to look at it objectively, because I wasn't forcing him to look at it objectively, because I wasn't being the voice of reason and logic, and from their point of view, being judgmental. So if you're one of the parents watching this, or a teenager, there's a difference between listening to people and listening into people. If we were having a conversation and you were telling me the facts of your worries about your student son or student daughter, I might be checking them off and saying, how long have they been going without sleep? How long have they been having these eating problems? I might sort of say, how frustrating is that for you? I'm kind of, filling out a list. And in this day and age of electronic data keeping, I'm probably in an office where I'm typing as you're talking. And you're feeling, well, he's being professional. It doesn't feel particularly helpful because you've been through this before with other doctors. Here's the example if I'm listening into you. Let me see if I get this right. You're worried about your kid. You're scared about your kid. And what you're hoping is to get some way to get through to your son or child. Right What you're wanting right now is not whether they get an A or a B. What you want is for them to let go of believing they have no future, no hope, and their life is over. Is any of that true? When I did that, you'll have the experience of my having listened into you. And when you listen into someone, you feel felt. And the reason it was important for me to listen into you and help you feel felt is because that's what you have to do with your son or daughter. Because when you felt, I'd make a moderate wager that you got emotional, because just like your son or daughter, you're feeling helpless and hopeless in how to reach them. What I'm hoping is you felt maybe emotional, but a little relief, because I helped you to feel less alone. And that's what you're going to learn to do with your son or daughter. You can do it.